že musíme ísť zistiť, čo sa tu deje.
It has been a wild ride for good game releases here in 2023. Even if you just pick the cream of the crop, the eating has been good. And that's about to be also true for the strategy genre as well. We've already had a couple of solid RTS game releases, especially here on PC, but over the course of this fall and into next spring, some serious titles are dropping that I am super excited for. And even though here on my channel we cover a lot of FPS games these days, when I was a kid, I basically played strategy games almost exclusively. And while that's not true today, they still hold a special place in my heart. And so, despite having so many good games already to choose from, I am quite excited to spend some time with these titles over the next 6 months or so. And if you're low on time, don't worry, I got you covered. Check out a list of what I'm covering in this video down below in the description, complete with links to all of these games and whether or not they are multi-platform, because some of these are going to be PC exclusive, some of them are multi-platform, and some of them are timed exclusive where it's just the PC versions launching first. There's a bit of something for everybody in here. And that also goes for the game style. We got some city builders, quite a few city builders actually, some traditional strategy games, and some story-based strategy games as well.
Stand by.
Okay, first up, let's look at Manor Lords. This right now, in its current 2022 demo version that you're seeing here, is a medieval-focused city builder. It's one of the most authentic and incredible looking ones that I've ever played. The design of this game to allow you to build a natural medieval village around very realistic road splines leads to just some super authentic looking locations that you can build yourself in the game. And even if you're not an old hand at city building games, your villages will end up looking authentic just because of how good this game's design is. That's just the demo version though that we saw in 2022. We got some hands-on time. It is due out for a full release in 2023, possibly with a release date announced here in October, but the final version of the game isn't going to be just a city builder. It's going to have combat, militia-based medieval combat as well, making this both a city builder with some Age of Empires style combat elements. It's also going to expand on that base city building with having multiple tiers of cities that you can upgrade, whereas in the demo we had pretty basic low-tech villages, if you will, that we were limited to. Honestly, it's hard to imagine how much extra content the final version of this game is going to come with, because I played something like 20 hours of just the demo version, just that base low-tech city building, and it was so much fun, so relaxing. Like a lot of other city builder titles, Manor Lords is also going to have some random events to keep you on your toes, but I really think it's that Age of Empires style combat that's going to be the icing on the cake for the final version of this game. All of the above is why this one is number 1 on my want list. Number 2 on my list is going to be, appropriately enough, Cities Skylines 2. And although the early reviews have been dropping as the game is actually launching this week as I'm recording this, and it looks like there are some significant performance issues as well as some missing features, this one is still number 2 on my list. I'll dig into why right after we give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, longtime channel partner, Apex Gaming PCs. A lot of the titles in this video are either going to be PC exclusives or timed PC exclusives. So if you guys like what you see here but don't have a PC to play these games on, don't worry about trying to figure it out on your own. Check out Apex Gaming PCs linked at the top of the description, where you can save up to $250 off of a RangerDave pre-approved build right there from Apex. But also I've got some options for those of you that want to go all in with the top possible specs to get the absolute best visuals, high frame rates, higher res monitors ready to go, or if you just want to have your PC be future-proofed. After all, what you're going to see in this video is just the stuff coming out in the next 6 months. Make sure you guys check out Apex Gaming PCs linked right there at the top of the description, and don't forget that RangerDave discount code on checkout if you find something that you like. All right, let's dive back in with a look at Cities Skylines 2. This is the franchise that basically put SimCity to bed, and that is impressive because it came out swinging with more player choice and far more modability. And here in the second full release of City Skylines 2, what they've really focused on is taking a lot of those best ideas that the modding community came up with for City Skylines 1 and implementing the best of those into the base game. Improvements that modders brought for road systems and the AI and citizen simulation has all been rebuilt at the core game level for Cities Skylines 2. As an example, the base traffic system that was a huge part of the management of your city in the original game now is complete with individual traffic AI and physics, down to the point that the individual cars can have traffic accidents, causing your emergency services to have to respond to those accidents. No longer are the vehicles that you see on the roadway just a visual representation of the simulation of traffic. There is actual traffic being driven by actual citizens, and you can watch and track it in real time. Besides just improving on the base framework of the original game, better and more flexible road systems, even things like being able to place parking lots for your city, City Skylines 2 is just overall a much bigger game. As an example, let's look at the map size in this game. When you selected a terrain to build your city on, the individual map tiles that you can select to build your city on are smaller, about 1/3 smaller than the original game, but you can purchase many more of those tiles to unlock a much larger total buildable area. The devs have actually calculated that out to be a total of over 33 square kilometers to build your new city. If you want to, you can even purchase non-connected city tiles and then just connect them with your road system. All of these new features and the larger scale of the game do come at a price, it looks like. Performance in the game is really rough here as it launches on the week of October 24th as I'm recording this. The console versions of City Skylines 2 have also been delayed all the way into 2024, so that's a rough sign as well. The good news is the game is available on Xbox and PC Game Pass, so if you're already a subscriber, you can try it out starting on October 24th for free. And I think long-term, City Skylines 2 will definitely overcome its growing pains and become a far better and deeper game than we had with City Skylines 1, which was already a fantastic game. It's just gonna take some time, I think. Still though, it's number 2 on my list. Number 3 on my list is going to be The Last Train Home. If you're not interested in a city builder, or perhaps a large-scale combat game, Last Train Home might be the immersive story-based strategy game that you've been looking for. In The Last Train Home, as the name implies, you're going to be taking control of a group of Czech soldiers trying to commandeer a train and get their way out of the middle of the Russian Civil War there at the end of World War I. It's about half a real-time strategy combat and exploration game and half a survival management game as you try and keep your train stocked with fuel and supplies and your named troops alive over the course of your journey. There's also going to be intermission consequences as the story progresses and you make dialogue tree choices there in the main story. The Last Train Home is a absolutely beautiful looking game, as you can see here, and it is telling a very unique story. And honestly, the more I talk about it here as I'm recording this, it's making me want to push it higher on my list. I've played quite a bit of the demo here, I think 3 or so hours of the demo available on Steam, and loved every second of it. And this game, The Last Train Home, is launching in November. So the demo already feels quite feature complete, and I encourage you guys to go and try it out for yourself. At number 4 for me, I have a strategy title that I was very skeptical of just because it felt almost like a mockery of one of my favorite childhood franchises, Command & Conquer. The game is called Tempest Rising, and what I found once I actually played the demo for myself was actually more of a true and honest love letter to the Command & Conquer franchise rather than just trying to ride its coattails. Don't get me wrong, parts of this game are hilariously in parallel with the Command & Conquer franchise. You have a Tiberium equivalent, you have the equivalent of GDI versus NOD in your factions, just named slightly different things, but it's quite obvious that the devs of Tempest Rising are also true Command & Conquer fans who understood what made those games great. There is a demo available for Tempest Rising also on Steam right now, where you can play the first introduction missions for both the Global Defense Forces as well as the Tempest Dynasty. And these two intro missions, even in the demo, come with a full character-based CGI intro. Talk about a hit of nostalgia. I'd forgotten how cool it was to play a mildly campy story-based RTS game where you got to watch all of your units doing cool things in full motion cinematic intros before you took control of the mission and carried out your objectives. It's just so neat to see those full motion videos making a comeback here in Tempest Rising. I was also a bit startled by this being yet another game in this list with just some really incredible looking visuals. The devs of Tempest Rising here have managed to make a super detailed visual style that still has, I guess you could say, the readability of the units and buildings from Command & Conquer Generals, for example. The game just looks really nice without perhaps attempting to be incredibly photorealistic. It's just a really fun visual style. And while the demo for this game available on Steam is just those two intro single-player missions, the full version of the game is of course going to have some PvP multiplayer. Number 5 on my main list here is actually a game that got delayed quite a bit into 2024, even though it was about to launch here in fall of 2023. That is Men of War. Now, I am new to this franchise, but had an absolute blast with quite a bit of my usual squad playing all of the public alphas for Men of War 2. Men of War 2 features some very detailed vehicle and infantry physics, making for some incredibly tactical gameplay in motion that is actually quite easy to pick up and control. Even though things like armor angles and penetration and ammo types are quite realistically modeled in the game, this was a game that we could just pick up and play every time the beta dropped, bring new guys in from the group that hadn't played it yet, and there wouldn't have to be a lot of learning. You could just throw your troops into the meat grinder. You probably wouldn't do well, but I was just really impressed in my time with Men of War 2 at how easy the game was to pick up and how consistently fun it was. I'm a bit sad to see it launching in 2024, a bit late, but I also can't be too upset as, like I mentioned at the start of the video, this year has been so incredibly crowded with the releases. The game was already super polished, so I have a feeling that once it does launch, this game is going to have a lot going for it, including, by the way, 2 complete single-player campaigns that we've only gotten a little taste of in the public betas. And I spent most of my time in that multiplayer having a lot of fun doing AI stomps with the gang. Alright guys, well this video has already rambled on for quite long enough, but before I go, I have to add in one honorable mention that did not make it into the main list, just because I haven't had time to try the demo for myself, but it just looks so good. Check this out. It is called CATACLISMO, and it is a very detailed tower defense game where you're going to build up your fortress, your castle here, stone by stone, in order to defend it against the incoming horrors of the night. I got a message from the devs here about this game and the fact that they have a demo available as I was finishing out this video, and I just didn't have time to actually play it, but you better believe I'll be checking it out later on this week. Oh, and speaking of honorable mentions, if you guys saw a bit of World War I RTS game there at the start, this game is already out, but I can give it 2 big thumbs up. Check out The Great War Western Front by Petroglyph Games if you guys are feeling an itch for some very grim World War I trench warfare. I've been loving that game, just haven't had a lot of time to share it with you guys here on the channel. But yeah, 2 big thumbs up from me. For now, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this list, and if I forgot any big ones, make sure you guys let me know down below in the description. See you next time.